Welcome back to another Words Mean Things, Things That Words Mean episode with news you needn't need to know. At least that's what the media would have you not know. We will try and tell you the things that they won't. And we would like to tell you a great deal more about Magna Carta 1215, but it's important that you understand words. Now, words mean things, and we've had hidden from us, or we've simply forgotten the true meaning of some very important words. And today, our wordsmith, I don't know that's quite the right word for it, but certainly the man who knows a great deal about words and how to define them. Fitzroy Sterling joins us once again. Fitz, thank you for coming along. Today's an interesting word, sovereign.
It's my pleasure. I'm really keen to see what comes out of this one as well.
All right, so let's go through the definition. Sovereign. The word sovereign is derived from the Latin adverb super, to mean above, and the Latin noun regnum, or rulership/control. Sovereign means one who is above the rulership or control of another, hence not subject or a slave, not a subject or a slave. Now, most people would think the sovereign is just the queen or the king, and that's as far as the thought process goes. This sovereign idea goes much deeper than that.
Yeah, I mean, that's the whole way that consciousness has been subverted, is that no one has ever been taught the true meaning of the word. And so it's really important to break them up so you can see that it's nothing special. Like there's no magical powers that one has if they're sovereign. Like there's nothing uniquely special about them. It just means that we are all born to be free, really, if you want to really, narrow it down. And these are just other ways to show it, right? So if you are above the rulership of someone else, that means that you are born to be self-governing, that you decide for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
That's in a nutshell, really, is that you're above someone else governing you. And the word govern means control. And so that you're above being controlled by someone external to you.
So when we talk about a sovereign citizen, that's what we mean.
No, actually, that's a euphemism for domestic terrorist. So definitely not. So what they do, the people who don't want you to know this news, is they mix two terms and then they make it mean, I don't know what they make it mean, to be honest, but the word citizen is a slave, virtually means slave.
Right.
So you cannot be someone who's above the rulership of another and be a slave. Like, it's an oxymoron.
Absolutely.
When you understand what citizen means, it was a fictional term created, I think, in Roman times, if I got my info correct. And they have their citizenship. So you're on this ship, so
absolutely,
it's this thing they have that you are on, and you only get, you don't have rights, you have privileges and benefits, which can be taken any time.
And admiralty law is based in Roman law.
Yes, so it's all connected.
And admiralty law is the law of the sea.
Yeah, which is that corpus juris system, which basically is a euphemism for slavery, administration of slavery. So if you say that you're a citizen, you're basically saying you're a slave and you're owned and you're property.
All right. So now that you've corrected me on that, let's get back to sovereign then. How does that relate to you and I?
Well, basically, we are supreme beings in our own right. So every bit of intelligence that exists in the macro level in the universe can be found in us. So we are a mere reflection of everything that exists outside of us. So how can anything be above us? I don't know if that helped make sense. So sovereign is just an acknowledgement of that each individual being in their own right is precious and sacred in its own right, and that is above anything else controlling it, as exists in nature.
So that means that as a sovereign, you get to make your own decisions.
Yeah. So I mean, the perfect example, I mean, it's a real simple one, is that we're doing it all the time. We're just not aware of it because we don't have the cognitive access to what self-governance means. And we've had our consciousness subverted by those who wish to control us, to see those kind of terms as being naughty words.
Yeah.
And basically that you're selfish if you believe that this word has any meaning or power in a way that's actually in the service of life. So yeah, it's basically, if you get up in the morning, if you decide that you're going to get out of bed at 8 o'clock, and then the very next thing you're going to do is brush your teeth, that's self-governance right there. You didn't need to ask anyone's permission. You didn't need to consult anybody. You just went and did it, and you didn't need to get any instruction on how to do it. That's just a simple way, and so it's just about how you have the power to make decisions that affect your life, and you have control over them.
Yep. And and Magna Carta 1215 expands on that, because it giving you the rights to your entire life, not just your teeth brushing.
Well, it's not so much giving you the rights, it's acknowledging that they already exist, and it's protecting them.
All right, let's move on to the next sovereign slide. This time, sovereign continues the definition. A sovereign is a monarch, a single ruler who rules only the kingdom of self. Sovereignty is a state where one controls all three aspects of one's own consciousness. That means you control your thoughts, your emotions, and your actions. And by bringing them into unity, you attain mastery of one's own consciousness. Is that right?
Yeah, so I really love this slide. This really, when I found out this information, this really just dropped straight in my fibers, and there was no resistance because it just landed, and I went, wow. So the word monarch comes from two words, mono and archon. And mono obviously means, like, if you pop a mono on your bike, it means you're on one wheel.
Yep.
So it means single or soul or one. And archon is just ruler. So it means that you are a sole ruler. So, but what is the kingdom that you rule? It's the kingdom of yourself. And I just really love the way that puts that.
Yeah.
So basically, you're a king or queen in your own kingdom, which is you. So there could be no one else above you that rules you. So I reckon that I just love that. And so the way it's done, for you to rule you and the kingdom of you, you need to be able to unite the three aspects of your consciousness without anyone else manipulating or influencing it. Unfortunately, we live in a system that goes out of its way to do that very thing.
Yeah.
That's why we aren't sovereign, because the system, the conditions of life are set up that way that are going to make sure that our thoughts, emotions, and actions are never in alignment or in unity. They are always in opposition to each other. And that's how we get turned into slaves. Therefore, a sovereign knows this and can recognize this and understands the tactics that are used to make sure our thoughts, emotions, and actions are out of alignment. Therefore, once they can recognize that, then they can do something about them to bring them into alignment. And that's the real hidden knowledge here, is that very few people can recognize that it's happening to them, and because they believe they're making their own choices, but they're actually not. They're actually being manipulated to make the choices that those who seek absolute power have made sure that they're going to make. And this COVID stuff is a perfect example of that in a nutshell.
There are a lot of Eastern, particularly that I can think of, Eastern type worship systems that really relate to what you're saying here about being able to get these three aspects of consciousness into alignment: thoughts, emotions, and actions. I want to say Buddhism is probably the first one that leaps to mind. And yet we want to keep religion out of the conversation as much as we can at this point. But is there a bit of a symmetry between some of those Eastern worship systems and what you're saying here about sovereignty?
Yeah, like, it's a really good pickup. That was the understanding I got, is that those mystic traditions was really about spiritual teachings. And so for many years, I got confused when people were saying that word spirit. Oh, you're so spiritual. Oh, I had no idea what they meant. Like, it was just too woo-woo for me.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
Once I started really, trying to hone in on understanding certain words, then that word spiritual started getting demystified for me.
Yep.
So yes, they were trying to really articulate how to ascend into your true power. the true power that we actually have, the superpower we have.
Yeah.
And the way to do that is to actually be in charge of your thoughts, emotions, and actions. And so I'll give you an example of how that can happen, where one believes they are in charge, but they're actually not. And it's actually done through language. So if we set up, see, we don't speak a language that we created. We speak a language that someone else created that we never get to meet. And if you want to create a control structure, you need to create a language, because that is the way that you're going to communicate, not only to yourself, but to others. And so those words that are set up, they're set up to give your consciousness a certain level of access to how it views its reality based on the restrictions or the limits of the meanings of the words that are set up. So if I set up a system where I've got a bunch of condemning words about someone else who's done something I don't like, so I'll say, oh yeah, they're so stupid and selfish. If I believe that, are my